Jesuit?
The Jesuit is the one who gives everything for the love of God.
A Jesuit is the one who is a sinner, yet called to be a companion of Jesus.
The plant life cycle starts when a seed falls on the ground. There are many different kinds of plant life, but the flowering plants are the most advanced and widespread due to their amazing ability to attract pollinators to spread seeds. The cycle of founding the Society of Jesus began with first companions in the year 1534. Within short period, the fame and glory of the society reached every nook and corner of the world. The society was founded for ministry, especially in a missionary mode.
Society of Jesus in India and China. Francis Xavier came to India in 16th century. His mission works were in Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and China. Many Jesuit missionaries followed his footsteps to preach the gospel. Some of the great missionaries were Robert de Nobili, Jerome Xavier, Matteo Ricci and John de Brito.
Jesuits were successful in China. Matteo Ricci adopted the local silk dress of Chinese noblemen, especially the scholars. He brought new languages, knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, things like clocks and watches, books, maps, and musical instruments to the Chinese, many of whom had never seen these things. The Jesuits made new maps for the Chinese, they corrected astronomical calculations for the Chinese, and they reformed the calendar for them. They even made superior canon for the Chinese army, all the time explaining the gospel using various references from ancient Chinese texts. They said mass and prayers written in Chinese.
In 1579, Jesuits met the Mughal Emperor Akbar, who actually welcomed the missionaries and their new ideas. By 1605, another Jesuit came to India. His name was Robert de Nobili, and what made him so effective at bringing the gospel message was that first of all, he adopted the dress of Hindu teachers. Jesuits were often called gurus, and they taught the gospel message using the stories, using the environment and the languages as much as possible of the Indian people. They learned the Sanskrit written language. They did not try to change everything they saw about Indians. They became one with the people by becoming like them.
Robert de Nobili was an Italian Jesuit missionary who is known for his novel method of adaptation to preach Christianity. He was born into an Italian noble family in the year 1577. Being the eldest son, his family had many expectations on him. However, he gave up on his family's dream. He joined the Society of Jesus, where he was inspired by the stories of the missionaries to Africa and Japan. He prepared himself for the missions and was sent to India. He arrived in India in 1605. He moved to Cochin before finally arriving at Madurai. He soon realized that European missionaries were dismissed as unclean and inferior by the upper caste people, and they refused to engage in any conversation. Hence, Nobili decided to become a sannyasi to reach all kinds of people. He gave up meat and carried the walking stick and water jug used by Hindu monks. He mastered Sanskrit, Tamil and Telugu to expound the biblical truths to the people. By 1610, there were 60 people who accepted Christ, and by 1656, Nobili won as many as 4,000 souls for Christ. However, some people saw through his strategy and threw him into prison in 1640. Nevertheless, Nobili overcame all such difficulties with patience. He also translated several books on Christian doctrine into Sanskrit, Tamil and Telugu. He is known to have provided appropriate Tamil vocabulary for Christian terms, such as Kovil for a place of worship, Vedam for the Bible, and Pusal for Mass.
John de Brito. John de Brito was born in Lisbon in 1647. In 1673, after his priestly ordination, he was finally destined to serve the missions of India. He studied the local languages, and having learned that no missionary had reached the kingdom of Marava, east of Madura, for 18 years, he wanted to go there personally, and within 3 months, he baptized over 2,000 people, spending entire nights confessing and baptizing. He became Pandaraswami, that is, ascetic and penitent. His missionary action had attracted numerous antipathies from the powerful locals that caused him to be arrested. In 1693, he was again taken prisoner in the kingdom of Marawa, where he had converted and baptized Prince Tiriyadevam, thus obliging him to live in monogamy. However, the princes, who were relatives of the rejected bribes, wanted revenge, and to prevent the churches from being burned down and the Christians' houses being plundered, John de Brito handed himself over to the warders. After having been subjected to harsh torture, he was beheaded.
Jerome Xavier. Jerome Xavier was born in the northern province of Navarre, Spain in 1549. Xavier's great uncle, St. Francis Xavier, was a close friend of Ignatius of Loyola and co-founder of the Society of Jesus. Father Jerome's arrival in Lahore was marked by the hospitality of Akbar, who provided him and his 2 companions, Father Emmanuel and Brother Bento, with lodgings in his own palace, and assigned a Muslim doctor to instruct them in learning the Persian language. Akbar had good relationship with Jesuits at his court. He allowed them to practice and preach Christianity. But due to the hardness of the Muslim, Jerome felt difficult in converting people and Akbar. When war broke out between the Portuguese and Mughal empires in the autumn of 1613, Xavier had to protect the possessions of the church by storing them in the home of a poor Christian. As the war progressed, safety became a concern for Father Jerome, who moved the mission and its congregation from Lahore to Agra in 1614. While the end of the mission seemed evident, peace was restored in 1615 and the mission resumed its pre-war activity. On June 27, 1617, he was found dead in his room.
Matteo Ricci. Matteo Ricci entered the Society of Jesus in 1571. Along with his studies in philosophy and theology, Ricci studied mathematics, cosmology, and astronomy, subjects that would serve him well on his mission to China. In 1578, the Jesuits sent Ricci on a mission to Asia. In 1580, Ricci was sent by Alessandro Valignani, superior of Jesuit missions in the East Indies, to prepare to enter China. Ricci sailed to Macau, the Portuguese colony in South China. There he took an intensive language course, mastering Chinese to perfection. Entering China in 1583 with Michael Ruggieri, his Jesuit companion, Ricci dressed first in the clothing of a Buddhist monk and then later as a Confucian Mandarin. Ricci's aim was to adapt to the customs of China to be more accessible. Ricci also brought with him Western clocks, musical instruments, mathematical and astronomical instruments, and cosmological, geographical, and architectural works with maps and diagrams. These, along with Ricci's phenomenal memory and mathematical and astronomical skills, attracted an important audience among the Chinese elite. In 1601, Ricci was called to meet with Emperor Kang Si in Peking. He was the first Western missionary so invited. For 9 years, Ritchie and other Jesuits dialogued with members of the Chinese intelligentsia. In these dialogues, Ritchie sought to build a Chinese Christian civilization. By the time he died in 1610, Ritchie left behind 2,500 Chinese Catholics, with many in the educated classes.